So hello everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to the first Orbis Live of 2023. I'm Tim Mitchell, your host, and today I'm joined by my esteemed colleague Rupert Colbourne, who's the CTO of Orbis Software. Hi Rupert.
Tim, hi, and hi to everyone watching.
So together we are excited today to be discussing our predictions and insights for the technology industry in 2023. Before we kick off, a reminder about this Orbis Live series. So these are broadcasts and they're an opportunity to take a few minutes out from the day job as we freely discuss specific strategic technology themes and trends that have an impact on our ecosystem. Feel free to add in any questions you have in the panel on the right of your screen. And so with the rapid pace of technology advancement, it's important to stay on top of these emerging trends and understand how they're likely to shape various industries and businesses. So together with our experience and our knowledge in the field of technology and specifically enterprise architecture, we're going to share our predictions for what we can see and what we hope to expect in the coming year. From autonomous systems, digital immunity to 5G and beyond, we'll be diving into the technologies and trends that will be key in shaping the world of business in 2023. And we've broadly grouped these into three categories: growth, resilience, and also sustainability. Some sustainability insights at the end. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll start with some predictions and insights around growth. Rupert.
Great, thank you, Tim, for the excellent introduction. Okay, so first I'd like to talk about generative AI. And I presume that most of our listeners tuning in today have heard of chatgpt, which hit the world by storm at the end of last year. But if you're not caught up, then chatgpt, developed by a company called OpenAI, is a great example of generative AI. And it's one of the sassiest and most sophisticated AI language models around. So chatgpt uses something called transformer architecture, and along with being fed endless amounts of data, it's able to basically predict the next word to write. So it can generate everything from witty one-liners to entire novels. Kind of like having a personal robot poet, novelist and scientist and coder all rolled into one. Now, you can't ask it to clean your room or make you a sandwich, that's not its forte, but you can ask it to write your entire corporate marketing plan. Brilliant. So I definitely suggest you have a play with chatgpt. It's lots of fun and it might just make you more efficient in your job. Depending on what your job is, of course.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't really affect you if you're a gardener. But what are the different kinds of generative AI?
So generative AI encompasses a wide range of classifications of machine learning that fulfill various different functions. ChatGPT is in a classification called text generators, which are capable of creating coherent and human-like text. But in addition to those, you've also got audio generators that can compose music and songs, visual generators such as DALL-E and Night Cafe, which are brilliant at generating art and images from English text. There's also video generators that can turn text into videos in a matter of minutes.
That's great. But what about the context of business? Can it really help businesses achieve competitiveness and growth?
Great question. So I would say that today the difference is somewhat marginal, but the technology is advancing rapidly and continuously. We're now seeing the emergence of AI code generators that can build applications based on natural language. And these functional code generators are really what I predict are going to make a real difference to tech-led businesses in terms of their growth and success. In fact, there's many examples of companies that have used these AI app builders today to advance their competitiveness in their specific markets. So Lenovo, the computer retailer, they use DataRobot. They've used DataRobot to build some AI learning models to basically help predict sales volumes. And they did this in a matter of days without writing a single line of code. So, yeah, brilliant. Shopify, I was reading that they use generative AI to create mobile apps for merchants. And of course, there's the hyperscalers. So businesses like Salesforce have benefited from their own AI tech. In their case, they've created their own version of ChatGPT, which is essentially called Code T5, which generates code from human text input. But it's not all completely positive in terms of the magic of these generative AI solutions. And we should also expect there's a slightly destructive side too, with high levels of spamming, hacking, deep faking, and other cyber attacks coming as a result.
Right, yeah. So that's all very, very interesting. But tell me, how might generative AI be able to help with EA, enterprise architecture?
Yeah, so one area that I'm particularly interested in is the exploration into how enterprise architecture tools can use generative AI to help them construct diagrams and models, predict trends, and ultimately present recommendations back to leadership, suggesting different ways to improve the business.
Right, and presumably that would work seamlessly, error-free, and tell EAs everything they need to know.
Of course it would, Tim, of course. There are indeed a number of issues with how this might work. So, for example, due to the nuances of data existing in different formats across a number of different organizations in different sectors, we really have to ask ourselves if a model could be trained to work with accurate data when applied to a specific business that has its own unique strategy. And that's why I think the next evolution of generative AI needs to have the capability to build and define a custom language model for a specific organization. And to take this further, really, trying to get where we want to, the trained model for this particular organization needs to be combined with a vertical AI, which is basically a base representation of data and use cases for that particular industry in which the business exists. So you can start to imagine how complex this becomes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, great. Thanks, Rupert. That really is exciting. So we've kicked off with generative AI. Let me take the next one, customer journey orchestration. So we all know that optimizing customer experience and satisfaction is fundamental to any company's growth, right? And there's a new breed of customer journey management tools that emerged quite strongly in 2022. And they help firms fuse data across channels, touch points, systems to better understand and orchestrate customer experiences. And these are referred to as journey orchestration platforms. And essentially, they help firms use real-time data and at the individual customer level to analyze current behavior, which is what they call journey discovery, and to predict and adjust future behavior in the moment, which they call journey decisioning. So these tools provide an integrated, actionable, and real-time view of the customer across marketing, product, and customer service journeys.
Okay, interesting. And Tim, why are these particularly on your radar in 2023?
Well, there's two things here. Okay, so firstly, these platforms have matured to the extent now where they are delivering recognized value to the market. Okay, and as a result of that, we saw a lot of M&A in that market in 2021. So CSG acquired Kitewheel in July. Almost a week later, that was followed by Qualtrics, and they acquired both UserMind and Clarabridge. And then later on in October, a company called Genesis announced its acquisition of Pointerlist and Xe.ai. So there's a huge amount of interest in that market, and that's because they're starting to see that the value these platforms can bring to organizations. Secondly, remember, these are very much operational tools to help optimize customer experiences. And what I think we'll see increasingly in 2023 is the symbiosis between these platforms and the work of a growing number of experience architects using EA platforms to develop customer-facing architectures, right? So in particular, these EA platforms provide tooling to help architects with the modeling of things like channel interactions, product journeys, service journeys, value streams, etc. And these are fundamental designs which guide the successful implementation and configuration of journey orchestration platforms. Okay. At the same time, if EA tools can pull operational performance data from these platforms, they then give experienced architects, in fact, all different types of architects, a view of the business impact from implementing these platforms.
Okay, great. And so what does this mean in real terms then?
Better customer journeys, more satisfied customers, better retention, more revenue. Okay, so tangible business outcomes. And the prediction is in 2023 that through the combination of maturing experience architecture practices and the advancement of these journey orchestration platforms and their integration with EA tools, we're going to see a real leap forward in organizations' customer orchestration capabilities.
Brilliant. That's really, really good. Thanks, Tim. And now onto something that appears probably a little less glamorous on the surface, which is the advent of 5G networks. And together an advancement that Gartner is terming wireless value realization. So I'm going to talk about these two together as I really see them being complementary trends. So 5G is expected to grow in a variety of markets. So there's mobile communications, Internet of Things, industrial mobilization, automation. Essentially, having this increased bandwidth and low latency of 5G networks will enable new use cases and services such as the self-driving cars, remote surgery, for example. Wireless value realization refers to the process of creating value for customers through the use of wireless technology. So what does that mean? Well, a couple of examples that we used to include the use of wireless networks and hotspots to provide internet access, use of wireless payment systems, of course, and use of wireless sensors to monitor and control devices.
Okay, but we've had wireless and fast internet for some time now. Can you explain a little bit more around the real benefits we're going to see with these technologies?
Yeah, sure. So what's really interesting is when you combine 5G and wireless value realization together. And when you do this, you're going to find that there's a huge opening, this brave new world of technological advancements like smart cities, next-gen autonomous vehicles, and augmented and virtual reality.
Smart cities. I've heard of these. Sounds very interesting, Rupert. Tell me more.
Of course. So with 5G, we basically have faster networks. We've got low latency. I mean, you can do more online with less interruptions. And with next-gen wireless, we'll have the access to more hotspots and more networking points, a large number of stable sensors, and essentially a lot more coverage of high-speed internet all around the world. Add them together, I'm on the path to seeing cities becoming more efficient, more sustainable, and essentially more livable by enabling the use of these techniques. Of course, it kind of depends on what your definition of livable is. I know my mother probably wouldn't agree. But for example, smart cities, they will be able to use wireless sensors to monitor traffic, parking and pollution, which can be used to improve transportation and indeed to reduce emissions. You can see it a lot where there's people walking around with wearables, so body sensors, AR glasses. In fact, I read a really interesting article where experts were predicting that by the end of this year, around 10% of reading glasses will be connected to the internet.
Really?
Seems a bit optimistic to me, but quite interesting. What's also fascinating is how businesses can start to benefit from these technologies. Okay, so enterprise architects will be able to design and implement new use cases, so extending, say, the Internet of Things, which can lead to more efficient and automated processes and allow them to truly embrace the organization's digital twin. So that's the digital representation of the business, if you like. This is possible with all that low latency and real-time data being collected from various sources and sensors, which can obviously help businesses advance, but also help protect them from external threats and influences.
All very interesting stuff. A lot to take in there, actually. But that's actually a nice segue into our next topic, which is around resiliency trends and disruptors. Let me go first here. In 2023, more than ever, organizations are going to have to embrace the concept of and focus on strengthening their digital immune system. And this requires organizations to focus skills, resources, tooling on things like building robust and resilient applications, dealing with unexpected failures or events, but also delivering value faster than they create technical debt, right? Now, let's remind ourselves of the amount of potential disruption facing businesses as we start 2023. Okay, post-pandemic aftershocks, climate change disruption, prolonged tragic war in the Ukraine, supply chain issues. Look at the UK right now. We've got industrial action and strikes all over the place. And all of this leads to really significant economic headwinds and disruption for businesses.
Yeah, okay, so that does sound a bit pessimistic for the start of the new year.
Well, yes, but look, two important things to note here, right? So firstly, it's reality. No business is going to survive by putting its head in the sand and ignoring the real potential disruptors that they're facing in the world today, okay? It's the reality. But secondly, and much more positively, this environment actually provides the opportunity to thrive, okay? So look, a great quote from the F1 driver Ayrton Senna, the great Ayrton Senna: "You cannot overtake 15 cars in sunny weather, but you can when it's raining." And so in times of uncertainty and disruption, these are also times of huge business opportunity to get ahead, I guess. And Gartner have an assumption that by 2025, organizations that invest in building digital immunity will increase customer satisfaction and competitiveness through decreasing downtime by 80%. That's an assumption that's come straight out of Gartner. So I think absolutely fundamental that organizations are focusing their resources on building that overall digital immunity.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely something for us all to take note of. So let me just continue this thread then around immunity then, by talking about some further predictions around cybersecurity, which of course is a rapidly evolving field. Again, by harnessing the power of machine learning, we're seeing a lot more cybersecurity vendors providing abilities to analyze vast amounts of data to detect patterns and anomalies that might signal some kind of cybersecurity threat. These cutting-edge technologies, they tend to learn from previous attacks, like they understand the previous attack patterns, and they automatically respond to these threats in real time. So they often eliminate the need for human intervention. So what does this mean for organizations? Well, they can quickly identify and counteract cyber threats, which greatly reduces their the risk of data breaches and the like, and other security incidents. But we're seeing further advancements as well around this thing called behavioral analytics, which is another cutting-edge technology that's helping organizations improve their cybersecurity. You might remember the famous quote by Bruce Schneier, a famous cryptographer, who said, "Amateurs hack systems, professionals hack people." And he's absolutely right, and that's why behavioral analytics are becoming so important.
Yeah, okay. So, but I presume this ties into social engineering then?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's great about these technologies is they track and analyze behavior of users and devices on the network, looking constantly for unusual activity that might indicate some kind of security breach. For example, they can detect whether an employee's account is being used outside of working hours, or whether an IP address is accessing the network from a location outside the company, or indeed in a different country. So behavioral technology can help organizations identify previously unknown threats and reduce the risk of data breaches by detecting these anomalies early. And organizations can then minimize the impact of a breach, take further measures to protect themselves and so on. But as you say, people need to be extremely aware these days of the threats of social engineering. And so, things like insider threats, as an example, also are a very hard challenge to defend from. So one real concern on people's minds these days is around quantum computers. They become so powerful, and as they enter the mainstream, they can be used to potentially break traditional encryption. So protecting against this risk, scientists and engineers are now having to develop quantum-safe cryptography. So you've probably heard of this as post-quantum cryptography, which uses algorithms that are resistant to quantum attacks.
Right. Yep. Post-quantum cryptography. I'm all over that, Rupert. All over that.
I knew you would be. Okay. So my final resiliency prediction is really around the growth of edge computing. So edge computing technology is a bit like a superhero for an organization. So it enables the business to process data and run applications closer to where data is being generated. So rather than far off in a centralized location elsewhere. So what does this do? It basically helps reduce latency and increases the reliability of data in intensive applications. And therefore those used in, say, manufacturing or logistics can benefit. So this means that organizations can respond quickly to changes in the market. It means they can anticipate disruption, and it generally makes them more resilient and able to take proactive measures to minimize their impact, if that makes sense. So I'm really convinced that this year, edge computing will become mainstay to any cloud system. If you look at topics we've covered around AI and ML and IoT, there's a huge volume of a variety of data there being generated continuously. And this is where edge computing will help organizations process and analyze data in real time. So leading to really valuable insights and actions that can be taken.
Right. And can you give some examples of like other sectors that can benefit from edge computing?
Yeah, of course. Great example is healthcare. With the growth of telemedicine, which is remote diagnosis and treatment of patients, edge computing can really help analyze these large medical imaging data systems. So there's X-rays, CT scans, MRI scans, and images. And it can basically analyze data a lot closer to where the data is being generated. So this leads to faster, more accurate diagnosis and treatments, better patient outcomes, of course, and less need for travel. So, but similarly in transportation, edge computing is really important there. It can help track the status and location of vehicles, delivery trucks, trains. It can help optimize their routes. It can help reducing fuel consumption and improve overall efficiency. So great for identifying issues with cargo and breakdowns, delays. They can be quickly addressed, and we can get back to delivering your Amazon parcels quickly.
Great, thanks, Rupert. Absolutely fantastic. So, okay, look, just looking at the time, let's move on to our last topic for the day, which is around sustainability trends. Now, this is a huge topic, so let me try and summarize briefly the status quo. We are way past sustainability being something that's just given lip service, right? I think we all know that. Stakeholders are increasingly putting pressure on businesses to produce improved and verifiable sustainability outcomes. So IT leaders are tasked with delivering technology with positive environmental, social, and governance (ESG) impact, and that's both within and beyond the business, right? Therefore, execs must invest more in innovative solutions that were designed to address ESG demand to meet sustainability goals.
Yeah.
If they're not doing that, they risk losing customers, employees, partners, investors, who are all increasingly pressurizing these businesses to contribute. And in some regions, they may even face industrial or regional regulatory fines, and even exclusion from markets or tender processes and so forth. So every technology investment will need to be set off against its impact on the environment, keeping future generations in mind. And a growing number of organizations expect their product and service providers to demonstrate how they reduce their carbon footprint and how they support society in a wider context. Sustainable by default, as an objective, requires sustainable technology. Now, Rupert, I know you've been engaged with our sustainability program at Orbis, so feel free to jump in and add any insights and any technology predictions that you've got here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tim. I guess there's 2 or 3 main topics I'd like to just touch on briefly. The first is building automation systems. So building automation systems, again, use IoT, Internet of Things. They allow companies to really monitor and control building systems. So everything from lighting, heating and cooling systems, and providing real-time information and analytics to try and optimize the use of energy when building. Really important, of course, for reducing waste. So that's my first one. Another one, so carbon accounting and offsetting. Again, really important. Businesses can use technology such as blockchain and smart contracts to track and offset their carbon emissions. And they can do this in order to achieve this carbon neutral status that everyone's obviously looking for. And this ties into the advancements we're seeing in renewable energy. So solar power, wind power, all make it easier for businesses to generate their own clean energy and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. I would say my final one is around virtual reality and augmented reality, and indeed the metaverse, which we've heard a lot about. All these technologies can help businesses by reducing their physical travel, for meetings and training and things. So therefore reducing transportation-related costs and emissions. So that's my kind of
fantastic.
top 3 round.
Okay, excellent, Rupert. Thank you very much for those great insights. And it looks like we've paced it perfectly as we are just coming up to time. So in closing, it's clear that technology is rapidly advancing, and we can expect to see many exciting developments in the near future, from advancements in AI, the continued growth of the Internet of Things, digital immunity. Technologies will continue to shape the way we live and work. I think we've had a great conversation today about some of the future predictions in technology, which will undoubtedly change the way we interact with the world around us. It's an exciting time to be alive and be part of this technology revolution. And we look forward to seeing what 2023 and the future holds. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy technology-driven lives today to join Rupert and me. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much.